Hello and welcome to this audio edition of the Player Spotlight. I'm Tyler Rowland, and I'm excited to introduce my guest today who just graduated, got to walk the stage Sunday from center, Blake Stewart. And Blake, who is also a 16th region legendary player who played for the Boyd County Lions, winning a regional title in 2018. And of course, hold some records, Blake. It's always good to talk with you, man. And first off, let's get into your graduation. How does it feel now? Just how fast it's gone, and just being able to walk across the stage and earn that college degree that you worked so hard for. How was that experience for you?
It was just unbelievable day, honestly. Just seeing the friendships and the relationships that you developed during those 4 years at Center College, just unbelievable. I can't say good enough things about my time at Center. Just walking in as a freshman, not knowing what to expect, going to a different city I'd never been to because I wasn't able to visit due to COVID, unfortunately. Of course, that ruined many things my senior year in high school. But just the 4 years and how quickly it flew by, just unbelievable. And I think I made the best decision ever going to Center College. I wouldn't have changed anything for the world. And getting a degree from Center was something that is spoken highly upon. So just hoping that that transforms later in life to high things.
Yeah, that's no easy thing to do, getting a degree from there. And talking about the 2021 season, you mentioned COVID, Blake, and you guys only got to play 8 games that year. And talk a little bit about that challenge coming in, because of course as soon as your senior season ends at Boyd County, that was when all the craziness hit. And now you come into Center, and here you are starting out right in the heart of the COVID era.
Oh, yeah. So I moved into college sometime in August that year. Of course, everything just so unknown in the world at that time. And I am on campus for a whopping 4 days. And I figure out that, number one, we have no basketball practice for the entire fall semester, just not allowing it. The school's not allowing it. And number two, that all my classes are through Zoom and online. So I was just sitting there thinking in my dorm that they have all these regulations. We can't leave our dorm. We can't hang out with friends. You can't create relationships. I'm in an area unknown to me. I know nobody. It was honestly horrible. It was some of the worst days of my life. So I just went home that first semester because of everything being online and not having the ability to play basketball. And I moved back in January, and the first day I moved in was the first day of practice, and we had a game that next weekend. So I only had about 4 or 5 days of total of practice, I believe, before we had our first game. And then we actually get down to our first game in Atlanta, and just all the regulations and everything are so crazy. We're playing in mask, and there's no people in the stands, and it's just honestly like, what are we doing here? What's our goal? We can't go in restaurants to eat. It's just miserable. We're staying in our hotel room all day. We had a team meeting in the basement. Our coach Greg Mason, who's a great guy, asked us to sit down, have a team vote whether we're going to play or not. And surprisingly enough, there was both sides of it. It was a tough time. So eventually we did play. We only got in whatever amount of games you said we got in, probably around 7, I think. So yeah, my freshman year wasn't one to elaborate on and being a positive to a certain degree, but that had nothing to do with Center, had nothing to do with being a college basketball player. That was just unforeseen circumstances that you just had to battle through to get to the good times.
And that's something you mentioned, that, gosh, what a tough era that was. And yeah. I can think of a memory in particular involving Boyd County, because we also had the ice storm. That's the thing, you were in the middle of the ice storms as well that hit around that time. Looking at I have your schedule open here, so you're right at February 2021, and gosh, there's more cancels on the screen than there are W's and L's, and
oh yeah,
how crazy that was.
Yeah, I basically didn't have a freshman year.
Wow.
I mean, there was no opportunity to pretty much my sophomore year was my freshman year to show everybody like what you can do as a basketball player, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because that time was so crazy. Because with Boyd, I was Coach A, Coach Randy, and I were talking one morning, normally Boyd and Ashland, great rivalry. They play twice a year, and then all of a sudden it's like Boyd and Ashland are playing, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, are they moving the game up? Or they? And they wanted to get a game in, just to get a game, and I remember Randy telling me, he's like, we've practiced, I think, 2 times in the last 28 days, like just how insane that era was. But on a better note, though, you mentioned about center and how it was the best decision you made to go there, and a decision you honor. And why is that?
Well, first of all, I found a group of people down there that will be the best friends for the rest of my life. I mean, you as a high school basketball player, you're in choosing your college. You need to focus on trying to find a group of people that you're going to fit in well with, because that group, you're going to spend so much time, too much time. You're going to wish you didn't spend as much time with them. I mean, you're living together, you're eating together, you're practicing together, and you never leave those groups aside. So I just think I found a really great group of individuals that I love as people and as basketball players. And also, center's academics were top-notch. The professors, anytime. I was taking some difficult courses at center. I mean, organic chemistry, too, and stuff. I spent hours upon hours in chemistry in lab offices, and they were very patient with me. They would stay with you the whole time until you understood things, and that's huge, because at the end of the day, academics are always the most important part of your college future. That's what's going to propel you into the future. There's not many people that are going to go on and play professional sports, which there has been people from center, of course, play professional sports, but it's a very small percentage. So getting that degree and having a great time while doing it, that's the reason I say I love center.
And you mentioned your challenges as a freshman, of course, coming into COVID. And when you got through that, and you actually had a chance to get to the court and at least get a resemblance of normalcy, what would you say your biggest obstacle was?
I think my biggest obstacle was just trying to find my role within the team. I mean, everybody there was the best player on their high school team. They were the number 1 scorer, and majority of the time, I mean, there's only one player that's that way majority of the time on your college basketball team. So it's what can you do and specialize in on that team to get a role. And mine ended up, surprisingly enough, and probably people will be surprised around here to learn, was defensive end. So I would, majority of the time when I played, I would guard the other team's best player and just chase them around the floor until I exhausted them out, or just make a hustle play in a day. And that sounds basic as it is, but that's literally what got me on the floor at center. It wasn't the scoring the ball, which I was majority, I guess, known for in high school, but it was the other factors, the smaller factors that eventually got me on the floor.
Yes, because when you played in high school, gosh, I remember you had those step-back threes, and you could shoot it from, just about 25 feet out, and that was a real threat to your game, and, of course, had that ability to take it to the basket. You averaged 20 a game, and when you get to center, your role evolves. You become more of that player, like you said, that was more on the defensive end. And like I said, if you look at the stat sheet, and I'm a huge numbers guy, if you look at the stat sheet, you don't see the full picture of your game. And talk about what that process was like. Was it a struggle, or was there some excitement of that you felt, you're taking your game to a different level and how you're utilizing your talents?
Yeah, I never looked at the game and trying to stuff the stat sheet, so say. I never went into games thinking I need to score this amount of points or anything. I just, whatever was in that game, that role I needed to be was what I did. Whether it was in high school, my sophomore year, I would have 37 points one game, which is my season high, or 0 points one game. It's whatever role that team needed me on. It was the same way I carried into college. If they wanted me on the defensive end, I was more than willing to do that. I don't care about scoring the ball. I mean, it looks good on the stat sheet, and you get praise for it. But I want to win, and winning's the main key, and that's all I care about.
Yeah, and of course you sure did that, and of course getting to go to Rupp, which we'll talk about that in a little bit, and playing for center. Let's talk a little bit about Coach Mason, and you're talking about somebody that's no stranger to the tournament. I mean, 8 NCAA tournament appearances in his career. He's pushing 500 wins. I mean, just from one of the all-time winningest coaches when you get down to it. I mean, he's done so much over the course of his career. Talk about your relationship with him and something you learned from playing for him, or something that, and this could be something on or off the court.
Yeah, so you say all those great stats about Coach Mason, and that is great, but just playing under Coach Mason's a great guy, just overall. And that's what I heard in the recruiting process, just hearing from just random people all around the state that I would talk to, because, it was a nervous decision of mine, and all good things were said about him. So, and if I told a recruit right now, I'd just say Coach Mason is a great guy. I mean, 100%. And he's one of the most successful D3 college basketball coaches in the entire United States right now. I think he's like top 20 in wins or something. I could be totally wrong with that. But, just his overall success just speaks for itself. And being on top of that as a great guy. And he reminded me a lot of Coach A in that facet, just being a wonderful guy and a good guy to be around and have in your corner.
And what would be at center, what would be one of your favorite memories that you have?
As weird as this sounds, it's maybe just like the bus rides and the pregame meals, just all the times you develop those relationships with your friends, and all the times you joke around in the hotel nights, because we have a very broad traveling schedule. We're the farthest northern team at center, and we travel down to Alabama, Arkansas, Mississippi, and so on and so forth down south. So we travel a lot on charter buses, and just that's when you develop those relationships through the tough and struggle. And so, as weird as it sounds, it's probably those rough times that builds a relationship better. And the same thing in high school, just spending time together is what you really think about more than after fact, and even the success you've had.
Yes, is there one that would stand out in particular, like like what typically goes on the trip? Like, are you always, like when you're on the bus, I mean, are you working on schoolwork a lot, or are you more slammed? Like, is Coach Mason on there going through information about your opponent, or are you just guys kind of just taking it easy? Like, what's a trip like for you?
Oh, yeah, I mean, it just depends on the trip. You hit all those on the head. Like, if we're rushing to get to the game, or in that factor, we'll be watching film on the bus. We'll be going over scouting report. He goes in a very detailed scouting report. He's a very analytical guy, which I very much enjoyed. And if we're traveling during finals, well, we go to center, so we're always doing homework. Unfortunately, that's just part of it. But we're always grinding on the bus, making sure we get our assignments done. That's key number one. Every trip or every facet of what we do is to get our academic work done and be successful in the academic field. Then whatever time remaining, we're usually, this year our big thing was either playing a heads up or the Family Feud. So, and on on conference trips, we travel with the girls team as well because we have the same schedule. We just play back to back, and the charter bus is plenty big. So we get to play the games with the girls basketball team as well. So we all have a good time. And Bailey Rucker from Boyd County, of course, is a part of the girls basketball team. So she gets to play those games with us. And she is loud, for sure.
Yeah, Bailey, who's also gone on there and had quite a career, and you mentioned you mentioned that because I think of it with West Virginia State. That's what was done a lot with the calling games there this year. They would always have the men's and the women's team. The women's would play first, and then the men's would play. And it was, I think it was a conference bylaw, if I'm correct, that they play on Wednesday and Saturday. And that's pretty cool that some of the memories you had from there. And moving back now to your career at Boyd County, reflecting on that. I just mentioned Boyd County. What comes to mind?
Just home, pride. I mean, I always took the court and really wanted to represent Boyd County well. I take a lot of pride in being from Boyd County and from Eastern Kentucky. I'm always very prideful when I went to center, saying I'm from Boyd County and I'm from Calixburg. I mean, it meant a lot to me to wear the Boyd County jersey, and I hope I represented it well, and I hope I represent it well in the future and giving back to this community. I really enjoy this community. I mean, there wasn't very many people from Eastern Kentucky that went to center, so I was very proud to be from this area and represent Boyd County.
Mm-hmm. And let's go back a little bit to your trip to Rupp Arena, that special season you had. First off, let's talk a little bit about that district championship game against Ashland, because you had a big shot late in that game, I believe, and I'm sure that has to be one of your favorite memories, because it was at Ashland too, I believe.
Oh yeah, it's always good beating Ashland. That's a great thing about the rival. I want to beat them, and they want to beat us. That's what makes this rival in this area so special. We might be friends off the court. We might be associated with each other, and it's a smaller community, so we know each other. But when we're on that court, we want to beat each other, and that's number one. I actually took some of my center friends this year to the game at Boyd, the district championship, and they loved the rivalry too. It's special. It really is. And that shot right there, I mean, of course I love especially at Ashland, hitting the go-ahead shot. I mean, that's definitely a top-tier memory for myself. And you talked about Rupp Arena. Of course, that's a wonderful memory, too, just being able to do that with the people I grew up with, because when we grow up and we'd be shooting and working out in the gym all the time together, we'd always look up and be like, oh, look at Boyd County's history. They got all these region championships. Well, why in the world does it stop at 2000? Why does it stop now? We have to change this. We have to bring back this culture to Boyd County, this winning culture, and to finally get over that marker, man, and playing a Rupp Arena. Words can't describe how good of a feeling it was, and every single one of us on that team would say the same thing.
Yeah, because you all went in, and I mean, as of course, I'm fortunate not to get a first-round win, but you came in as big underdogs that year, and I mean, everybody pretty much had written Boyd County off, and I remember that game, and I mean, I don't want to sit back and be like, oh, I did, but I just had that feeling. I'm like, I just know Boyd's going to come in there, and they're going to show everybody they're for real.
I got a funny story about that. So we draw Fern Creek round one, and of course, as kids, we're going to YouTube. We've never heard of Fern Creek. So apparently they were number one team in state, but we weren't paying attention to it. Of course, they're out of Louisville. And we YouTube Fern Creek. And the first thing that pops up is Fern Creek playing Mac McClung. And we're like, oh my goodness. What are we in for? But yeah, we ended up playing really well. We weren't scared at all. We knew we were a good team. We had the players. We just fell a little bit short in overtime, and we gave every run for the money. If we just hit some free throws at the end a little bit more, we have a good chance. So, but we're proud of the way we played that game.
Yeah, gosh, because I mean the you look at how well our region's represented. I mean, of course, well this year with Ashland, I mean they had Lyon County on the ropes, down 7 midway in the fourth, and just couldn't hang on to win. And then 2000 Boyd also came in, and Antoine Barber, who played for UK and Elizabethtown, they take them to the wire, and then 2 of the next 3 Elizabethtown would win pretty handily and win the state title. So, I mean, their tough matchup, of course, being against Boyd County, and always a great representative of the 16th. And how does it feel looking back now? Because you said you took your friends to that center game, and I'm sure you worked a little bit with Jacob Spurlock, and because of course he had that big shot that ended up being the game winner in that game. And talk a little bit about what it means to you seeing these young guys. By the time this comes out, the interview with Jason Ellis will also have been released, and Jason Ellis, who's committed to play at the collegiate level. Talk about what that means to you, just to see these young guys behind you come up and make some noise.
Oh, I love it. I've seen these kids grow up, so just seeing them come in right behind us and not only keep the program where it was, but propel it into the next is just unbelievable. And not only are they good players, but they're great people. So they're easy to root for. Both them and Ashland are just keeping the rivalry as intense as it's ever been. And I enjoy coming back and watching them play. And I can't wait to be around them this year more. I've only been able to catch a couple of games because our seasons are so collided, but hopefully this year I can watch him more. And of course, Spurlock, man, he's a special player. He can absolutely shoot the ball like crazy.
That's what's so hard to stop about him, because he's got that quick release. It's just so hard. I mean, there's another player, Ryan Crotty in Virginia, and he's been having a great AAU season so far, and he has all kinds of Division I looks, offers, and I'm thinking Jacob is, having seen both, I think Jacob is equally as impressive. And Jacob, in fact, he picked up a D1 offer just recently from High Point. And Blake, talk a little. Let's shift over to a little bit to Coach A and talking about him. Of course, Randy, who's also, it's been great just over the on the announcing end. I am actually surprised. I mean, I knew Randy came from Ripley, West Virginia, but I didn't realize just how well known he is in West Virginia. He coached under Brian Poore, 400 game winner at West Virginia State. He's coached with Dwayne Osborne at Charleston. He's worked with him. Osborne is now going to be an assistant at Youngstown State. And talk about Coach A, who picked up his 500th win this year, and just what he means to you and to the community.
I mean, he means the world to me, and he means the world to a lot of people in this community. He knows just as well as I do. What a better man. What a better godly man. What a better representative of Boyd County basketball. It's hard to be a person like Coach A. And the success he's had along his way, he's more deserving, and more success is going to come his way in the future. I'm just so happy I was able to have Coach A as my mentor going through high school, and as my coach. I mean, just unbelievable. And anybody that knows Coach A or from around the area speaks so highly of him. You just go. I've never heard people from outside this area speak bad on Coach A, and just so happy I had him as my high school coach.
Yes, Coach A, just what a history he has. And for me personally, it was at Lawrence County when I was I'm giving away my age a little bit, but 04, when he coached Lawrence County, and he had a 6'8" center named Derek Endicott. And later on, he was telling me about him when this was a couple years ago, and he said how at first he struggled catching the ball in the post, and he told them every time he wanted them to throw to Endicott when he was young, and let him work on that in the summer. And no matter what the result of the game was, I just thought that was so cool how he saw that potential, and then Endicott goes on to be such a dominant center in the 16th. But talk a little bit about your memories with him, and maybe something that stands out, like one particular memory you have that involves Randy.
Well, I'll get back to that, but I want to say this real quick. I mean, when I was growing up, my first remembering of Boyd County is Coach A having, before he came, Boyd County having, I think, 2 back-to-back 2-win seasons. So you were talking about the development aspect of it. I mean, how much has he developed this program back to where it once was during his tenure here? So just an unbelievable job he's got. He doesn't get enough credit for that, I don't think. I agree. I mean, it was in the basement for a while. I mean, it was not Boyd County basketball, and he's developed it back through hard work and great character. He's developed it back to where it should be.
Yeah, because you mentioned the rivalry with Ashland, because I don't think it would be. I don't think he took over 2010. I think, and
2010.
I don't think it would be. Yeah, because I don't think it would be till 2013, the first time he would beat Ashland there, and it took some time to. But once they gave him a chance and let him get his system going and build that sense of confidence back to the program, it sure got off on the right foot. And of course, he's a contender for the region every year. And I'm just going to say 2 words, Blake, and what comes to mind, because I know this is something he talks about heavily: divine design.
I mean, so we hosted his basketball team group prayer a group Bible study every Monday. So, and I would specifically bring this up because it stuck with me so much, just in life and where I'm going in life. And anytime life goes a little in the ditch, as you would say, I think divine design, where it's going to propel me into the future. Everything happens for a reason. And I honestly, it's one of my life mottos now, just living through that. And, of course, that came from Coach A. And we have T-shirts on it. When we won region in 2018, our T-shirt has a circle and it has hashtag divine design by us. So it's a really great message, and I hope many more people can think about divine design, because I think it helps people. It would help individuals get through the rough times in life. Everything happens for a reason, but it's always for the better at the end.
And at Boyd County, during your career, what was one of your challenges that you had to overcome?
That's a good question. I would say just proving individuals wrong, being a starter early on, and trying to prove the older individuals in the locker room that, hey, I can play. I'm willing to sacrifice with you. I'm willing to do anything to win. I think that was one of the main early things to keep grinding out. And then senior year, it was just, we had some struggles that year, just trying to get back to our region championship. My junior and senior year was our main goal. And it was a struggle sometimes, because after you reach that pinnacle, it's hard to obtain back, especially when Ashland had some really great teams during the time. But I'm proud of the way we finished it off.
Yeah, no doubt. You guys fought hard and had an incredible crew coming through there. And in the summers at times, you've been training people. Am I correct? Are you still thinking about doing that?
Oh, I always would love to be associated with basketball, whether it's just hanging out practices or just training the younger groups of Boyd County Lions that are coming up, or any other schools, I guess. I haven't branched out yet. But, I love getting involved in basketball, and been thinking about maybe getting a middle school job in the next couple of years or so, just getting back involved. And I would enjoy that for sure. I love the game of basketball, and I don't think I'll ever stop loving the game of basketball. So, for sure.
Gotcha. You mentioned middle school, and before I jump to the next question, I talk about one of my favorite stories of you, and it came from Jeremy Holbrook, who coached you in middle school, and
yeah.
you know what's going on.
Oh, yeah.
You end up finishing second in the league's championship game, and you went through, you shook the other team's hands, showed class, but then picked up the second place trophy and threw it in the trash. And talk about what comes to mind, because I love it. I think it sends a good message.
Yeah, that was just with the team in the locker room. That wasn't publicly, but yeah. I hate losing. I do, for sure. And I actually, he reminded me that. I forgot I did it, honestly. Years later, he told me, and I was like, yeah, you're right. I did do that. But yeah, I don't like losing. I don't like second place. I don't like district runner-ups. I don't like region runner-ups. I don't like anything in life second place. But hey, who doesn't like winning? If you ain't first, you're last, right? Ricky Bobby style.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I mean, because it's, because like I said, because I didn't know that was in the locker room. That's interesting, because even so, it's still a good, still good that, you kind of showed your competitiveness. And, of course, with the years left you guys had, the drive to remember, hey, we don't want this to happen again, and bouncing back and, of course, jumping in. That happened a couple times with Randy, and before you all won it in 18, there were a couple bumps in the road there, getting there and winning the region. Let's talk about your future, Blake. We'll talk about your degree and what some of your future plans are going to be.
Yeah, so I was a biology major and on the pre-dental track at Center. So my plan is to take the DAT, which is a dental acceptance test, in July or August, which I'm going to start a study for right now, which is a lot of fun, But take that, and we'll apply to dental school, and hopefully get in at UK or Louisville or whoever accepts me, fortunately. And during this gap year I'm taking, I'm going to start applying for jobs within the next couple of weeks. I've started creating my my resume here in the last couple of days. So just a lot of excitement on the future, a lot of question marks, but I'm excited. As Coach A would say, divine design, baby. Here we go.
Now for some rapid fire questions, Blake. Who are your favorite collegiate players?
Who are my favorite collegiate players? What he said.
Yes, and that can be at any level.
Gotta be Reed Shepherd, right? Mm-hmm. Talk about taking over a game at any facet. I mean, he passer, shooter. I mean that's the easiest question this past year I think I've had. Reed Shepherd for sure.
The toughest opponent you competed against, and or toughest player you had to guard, and this is both high school and at Center.
Oh, I'd say in college it was his first name was Blake. He's from Berry College. His first name is Blake. Blake Campbell. That's it. Just super. I think he's actually transferring this year. He'll probably go D2 or lower major D1, I would say. But can shoot all over the floor, athletic enough to dunk it right on your face. Just this complete package. And in high school, I would say the person that I didn't want to guard the most, was quick as a cat, was the middle Villers. I always get them mixed up, so I don't want to say the name. But
that one will be Chase.
Chase, yes, Chase Villers. I mean, his first step was always so quick, and I think he's very underrated as a player for sure.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Chase Villers. He's Chase who has you and him had some great battles together. Yeah, because it's interesting. All three of the Villers brothers, and all three so different, like in their style of play, but all three good at it. And
I played against all three. Maybe that's showing my age.
that is cool to think about.
Yeah,
that's true to because you had Kristen and Chase, and then down at the end you had Cole, and that's so cool. And then who would be a teammate at Boyd County that you keep up with to this day that you're real close with?
Honestly, I keep up with all of them. I couldn't say one particular. I was actually in Talbot Taylor's wedding about 3 weeks ago, and he of course is one of my best friends. But I keep up with majority of all of them. Still very tight group. Still very close.
What about at center? What would be a favorite activity or campus event you have that you like?
I would say Carnival, which the center has like a concert on campus. We always have a great time with that. They had B.O.B. one year, airplanes meant to fly, blah blah. You know that song, I think. But yeah, it was a really good time. We always look forward to Carnival.
Who's your favorite NBA player?
My all-time favorite NBA player is Kobe Bryant, and I'm staring at his jersey on my wall right now. I love Kobe Bryant.
Gosh, yeah, it was fun play. That was the first year I ever got into basketball. It was with the Kobe Shaq teams, and the first year they won the title. And who do you think is going to win the NBA playoffs this year?
I'm seeing a Minnesota and Boston Celtics final, and as a Lakers fan, man, I hope Boston doesn't win. I really hope.
Yeah, because that's true. Because I think after all those years, the Lakers have tied the Celtics. And the Lakers have way more finals appearances than Boston does. But
not only are they Boston Celtics, but they have a Duke Blue Devil leading their way. So how in the world can I ever root for that? So.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Didn't think about that. Yeah. And then it really is, now that you think about it, kind of like the anti-Kentucky, because you got Coach Missoula, he was at the head coach of Kentucky, he went against Kentucky in 2010, and when they beat Kentucky in the Elite Eight, and then and then on my end at West Virginia State, he coached he coached Fairmont State, which is a great school but a big rival, and that is interesting to point out. And what's your favorite place to eat?
It probably the river in Portsmouth. I would have to go with that. Yeah, or the Rocco's in Canova. That's my top two around this area.
Yeah, both good places. And your pregame routine.
My pregame routine is I pray and I make sure my underwear matches my jersey. That's the main two things I do. I don't know why. I've always done that.
Nice. And what's a cool fact about yourself? Something maybe not a lot of people know.
That's tough. Majority of my summer I spend at my grandpa's farm out in Carter County. I don't think a lot of random people would know that. So yeah, I like spending time outside and fishing and hunting and everything else.
And then last question, Blake, I'm going to ask you three more questions. I'm splitting this up. These are normally my last two. But first off, shout-outs you'd like to give.
I'd like to give a shout-out to my parents and support me along the way. Wouldn't be without them. To God and just all my former teammates. so appreciative for just the relationships I've created, and Coach A and Coach Mason, of course, and of Tyler for always representing this area so well, and always just putting the mountain sports out there, which not many people do. So appreciate it, Tyler.
Oh, I'm humbled, brother, and that means a lot. And is there a message that you'd like to leave for both the Boyd County and the center communities?
Just appreciate them for always accepting me, and I love my time with both communities, and hope to be involved with both communities the rest of my life. So just want to send all the love I can to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then lastly, Blake, I mean, you concluded your career. You went to Boyd County. I mean, scored a ton of points. You had the opportunity to go to the state tournament, something very few get. And then you had the opportunity to be one of 7% of players that get to go on and play at the collegiate level. And on top of that, a good Division III school in center. And then your senior year, you got to start some games. And when you look back on your career, and I mean, you're going to be a player you're still talked about in many circles in Boyd County, and I know you'll definitely be remembered at center. You won awards on your team for the defensive player, and I think you got a big one this year, right? For your leadership, if I remember right.
Yes, yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, and what do you want your legacy to be?
I just want my legacy to just be the guy that always worked hard, just was always a good teammate to be around, always could be a person that you could go to, talk to your struggles, be there for whatever you needed. I've just been very blessed. God's blessed me in a lot of ways throughout my career, and I just couldn't be more blessed with what I've been surrounded with.
That's awesome. Well, Blake, I want to say thank you for your time, and of course, thank you for all the great memories over the years. And be sure to stay tuned. I'm sure we're going to see Blake in some capacity in this gap year coming up for him, and he's been too involved to not be involved. So I'm looking forward to seeing his future coming up. And we want to say thank you all for tuning in and listening to this episode of the Player Spotlight. God bless you, and we will see you soon.